Hey, Shalom Shalom Mishpocha. Welcome to another edition of Ray Bash's Ramblings. This video is entitled UnHoly Moley. To fully understand and appreciate this video, I ask that you please first watch Holy Moley to be able to understand why I did a second video called UnHoly Moley. Just to basically recap, I showed through Scripture and through the Bible how there's at times we are called to be holy moles. In other words, that we are to use a style or use a vehicle of culture or music or language as a means to share Messiah and to share Torah. That sometimes we have to disguise ourselves for a divine plan to fully come to fruition, because it's spiritual warfare. It's like reconnaissance, it's like being a double agent, a mole, a spy. But on the same token, unholy moly, wherever there is truth, there's a counterfeit. So if you find a counterfeit, for something to be counterfeit, there's got to be real for it to be counterfeited from in the first place. So we know that Hasatan has moles and double agents and spies, and he's infiltrating the believing communities of Christianity and of Messianic and Netzari Judaism. And if he has these things, we need to be aware of them so we can combat them. And if Hasatan has these things, then sometimes in spiritual warfare, we too have to be moles, double agents, so to speak. But we can do this, as I showed in my first video, we can do this without compromising our stance on Torah, because Rav Shaul talked all about it, and he did. So anyway, first of all, I want to read to you a passage. Rav Shaul said in 2 Corinthians 11:13-15, "For such are false apostles, deceitful workers, transforming themselves into the apostles of Messiah. And no marvel, for Satan himself is transformed into an angel of light. Therefore it is no great thing if his ministers also be transformed as ministers of righteousness, whose end shall be according to their work." Now, let me also read to you the words of Yeshua. He said in Matthew 7:15, "Beware of false prophets, which come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are ravening wolves." So we see that Hasatan uses moles and double agents to infiltrate Christianity and Messianic and Netzari Judaism, to bring his false teachers and false prophets and false movements, false Holy Spirits, false prophecies, false everything, to try to tear down and destroy the body of believers. And we've got to have our eyes opened. I think it's in one of the books of John, where it talks about, we need to test the spirits to see whether they're of God or not. So what's the litmus test? How do you test the spirits? Whatever you see, whatever you hear, whatever is done, if Torah cannot testify to it, if the Torah is not witness of it, if you cannot validate it through Torah, if you cannot use the Torah as a filter and as a litmus test, and it doesn't pass that test, then it's not of God. It's of the evil one. So that is our filter, our foundation, our litmus test for any and everything. So how do you expose unholy moles? But through the Torah. Take what is said, take what is done, and if you can find it in the Torah, fine. If you can't, big red flags, there's a problem. There's an unholy mole in your midst. And Rav Shaul said that, people who cause division and dissension, that you're to point them out. And that's what we need to do when false prophets and things come into our midst. So, on the one hand, you have Hasatan, who's being an unholy mole, getting into the churches and synagogues and is wreaking havoc with false doctrines and false prophecies and false teachings and false leaders. But at the same time, there's certain of us who are called in spiritual warfare and in ministry to be holy moles. In other words, we're to use the vehicle of culture. We're to use the vehicle of certain styles and dress. We're to use the vehicles that the secular world uses, such as the mass medium of television, internet, music, literature, what have you, and use that to introduce the Messiah and the Torah to a lost and dying world. Because if we come dressed as Hasidic Jews or dressed in three-piece suits, the majority of the world's not going to listen to us. And I've had people say, "Well, you're not supposed to look like the world." Well, excuse me, what does the world look like? You claim your pastor is all holy and all righteous and stuff, but if you put that guy in a suit in a lineup with CEOs and executives of Fortune 500 companies and IBM and all these other things. I couldn't tell them apart in a lineup. Why? Because they're all dressed the same. They're all dressed in snazzy suits. So how, the CEOs are the world. So how can you say we can't look like the world? That's a moot point. That's just ludicrous. Yes, there is morality. Yes, there is a standard that we must uphold. But many of this is just a matter of style and taste. Wearing ripped jeans and a t-shirt, there's nothing immoral and immodest about that, of course, unless where the holes are. But we won't get into that. But if it takes me putting on ripped jeans and a t-shirt to go out and witness to headbangers or witness to teenagers or to approach the everyday Joe, so that the message of Torah, that the message of Messiah will be understandable and palatable, then that's what I'll do. Because Rav Shaul even said, I am all things to all men, that I might save some. In other words, he gets down on people's levels. No matter what strata of society, religion, faith, or knowledge that they're into, he understands where they're coming from, and he presents the Messiah and the Torah in a way that they'll understand, that'll actually be palatable, so they'll listen. Look, if I come walking down the street as a Hasidic Jew and try to talk to a redneck, they're going to laugh me off or punch me in the face or just walk away, But hey, if I put on jeans and a flannel t-shirt and go, and I'm not being deceptive, I'm just wearing clothes, and I go down and say, hey, look, let's have a cup of coffee. And I get, or maybe something that I'm wearing, maybe the certain plaid shirt that I'm wearing, say, hey, that's a cool shirt. And that'll open up the door, say, hey, we get in a conversation, I'm able to tell him about Messiah and about Torah. So there is a way to be a holy mole. And if you watch my first video called Holy Moly, you'll understand that. And there's also unholy moles, as I'm presenting forth in this video. So thanks so much for watching. Thanks for your love and your support and your prayers. We'll catch you on the flip side. Shalom and Shavua Tov.